Alright, let's say that I want to reset the campaigns. I want to start over for whatever reason. This is CaM R6720 folder in C drive. You go to the saves folder. You can use this tool that I'm about to show you, or you can just simply click campaigns.dat and delete it. And now you can restart R6720, and if you go to the campaigns folder, it didn't make any changes, because when you have R6720 opened and you modify a file on the side while it's opened, any instance of it, so you can have multiple windows of R6720 open at the same time, so you have to close every single window of the game, then delete it, because if not, the data is in memory in the game while it's on, and it's going to put it right back into the file before you make any changes. So I'm glad I made that mistake. Now when I open back up the game and I go to the campaigns, now everything is cleared. So that's if you want to clear them all. But let's say that you started the Shattered Kingdom for nostalgia. Then you start another campaign that you've never played before. It gives you some ideas and you want to go back and start over with the Shattered Kingdom, but you don't want to lose your spot in this campaign here. If you want to just reset one at a time, you have to either go and modify this file. So like if you want to edit this, you can't really see what's going on in just Notepad. If I edit this in Notepad++, then all of a sudden we have a whole bunch of weird looking characters that are there and so forth. For those that want to know how to do that, I'll show you how to do that after I show the main audience, just to use the app that I made. I already put the app in here. This is the app. I have ZZZ in front of it so that when you sort files by name, it's at the bottom to easily find it. When you open it up right now, because all the campaigns are reset, it's going to flash, but nothing's going to happen. But I made a copy of the campaigns.dat file earlier where the campaigns had some progress, so I can, just for this demonstration, make a copy of it again, just to that, so that now if I open up R6720 again, we have some progress with the campaigns. If I go to the Shattered Kingdom and I say start campaign, it says mission 3. But I'm going to X out of this before I make any changes. I'm going to go to the main folder. That's where you have to put this app. Double click on it. Now all of a sudden it's going to tell you all the campaigns when you click the drop down, and you can select which one you want, only if you have actual progress in the campaign, not just a list of all the campaigns that are in the game. If I want to reset the Shattered Kingdom, for example, I say reset, and that's it. Now the Shattered Kingdom, which previously had progress to mission 3, now we start with 1 again. And I can, instead of going in here and deleting this, I could just use this app to clear them all, just one at a time until they're all gone. And then once it does the last one, then it closes, that you know they're all reset. Let me open it up again. Now you can see that they're all reset. No missions are unlocked. I have an app for R15122 to do the same thing. It works the exact same way. The code is a little bit different for each. I'll provide a link to both of these in the video description. And just as a disclaimer, not that there's any bugs with this software that I know of, and it only will modify the campaigns.dat file and nothing else. It might be good to make a copy of it before you use the app to reset one or more campaigns, just so that if you change your mind and you want to undo it, you can't undo it. For example, when you download this app and it's on your desktop or something, and you run it, you don't even put it in the R6720 folder yet, you see this here, it says cannot be undone, and it will say that when you put it in the main CaM Remake folder too. It just tells you that it cannot be undone. And it tells you here that it doesn't exist because it can't find it. You're supposed to place this in this folder here before it can actually work. That's just a little reminder for you to put it where it needs to be in order to use it, of course. Makes sense, right? But that's all there is to it for using the app. Now for those that want to know how to modify it themselves, how it actually works, I'll show you. I'll try to be brief, but for everyone else, thank you for watching and have a nice day. But for those who want to know, continue watching. First, go to this page. I downloaded the 188 kilobyte version. There's no install. This is a portable version. I put the file in here. I'm going to demonstrate in R6720 first. When you double click it, by default, it's probably going to look like this. What you want to do is click on the 569, and it's not going to have a black background with yellow font like this. Just to be brief, for those that want to have your hex editor look like mine, go to settings and then click colors. The foreground color means text color. Gonna click on that and then say choose, and then you can change it to 202.2020 for the red, green, blue color code. And then for the background, it's not completely black. I have it at 15:15:15. And for selected area, which I'm going to be selecting things, this is the specific purple here that you can use if you want. The text is a little bit smaller by default. Settings, you just go to fonts and Click on this one and change it to 18. And I'm not sure if it's bold or not. I think the font is the default. After you do that, you say permanent setting and then you say apply. But before I do that, the file type here, maybe this one, it needs to be bubbled in so that this view comes up, you know, the 5669 instead of this by default. But anyway, I'm going to open this campaigns.dat file. This is what it looks like by default. And when I said by default, this means that no campaigns have any progress. It's like we're reinstalling the game. I'm going to put this on the side and I'm going to say File, New Window, and say File, Open. This is a saved copy where I had some progress with the Shadow Kingdom, with the Peasants' Rebellion, and on foreign lands. I never got why it says REV for the abbreviation of on foreign lands. What you see in the default and what you see in here too is 3-letter abbreviations for every campaign that's in the game. So if you add more campaigns to the game by coming to Knight's Tavern, which is a very plain looking map database, if you ask me, I think I can make a spreadsheet that looks better than this, but whatever. But that's currently where all the latest maps are, at least for English speaking people. I know the Chinese make maps that many of them are not on here. Like this is campaigns, but it also has a maps section and they have all kinds of lots of maps that you can search through, and when you click on this, there's some filters you can add in. But anyway, so right now with R6720 open, we can see that no campaigns have progressed. They all start on mission 1. What I want to do is show you how it works. I'm going to prove to you that when a campaign gets progress, these two characters get inserted here. The second one will always be a 02. So when you in the hex editor, you have to select, you can't select this and say 02, because if you do, it's going to literally type 02. You have to come to the left side and select over this 02, and then you can type in 05, for example, if you want. But we're not going to do that. We want that to stay 02. I think as long as it's not 00, it's going to register in the game that the campaign has progress. As long as this is not 00 or null, then it's going to signify that the campaign, which is the 3-letter abbreviation to the left of it, has some progress. At least one mission has been completed, or maybe all missions have been completed. But this number here will tell you how many missions have been completed. So this is saying that we're on mission 3. So to prove that to you, what I'm going to do is whenever you close the game, it's going to update the file even if it doesn't make any changes. Let me click here and select that so we see where it is. I'm going to now click here and, alright, let's say that I'm going to start with mission 4. So that means that I need to have 03 or 3 missions complete, and then I'm going to put 02 to say that the campaign has progress. And that's all I have to do. Now I can start mission 4. Since I X'd out, I'm going to reload it, and it didn't make any changes. So that's good. That means that I modified it correctly. If it would all of a sudden make it the default again, then I know I messed up. That's how it works with R6720 at least. With the latest remake version, it's a little bit more robust. It'll make some corrections and auto format the file should some discrepancy be made that's not the general form that it should be in. But R6720 is very specific, but yet simpler. For those who don't know how to count in hex or know what that means, let's say that I want to start with mission 20. Do I type in 19? I know this has to stay 2 as I said before, but do I type in 19? Well, technically it will work for mission 20, but how about this? Let's say that I want to start with mission 15. If I put in 14 and I save it, open up 6720, it's going to say that I start with mission 20. That makes no sense. And every time I X out of the game, I have to reload it in here like that. Just click here and then find the file's name and click it again and I'll reload it or refresh. If you don't do that, whatever changes you make in here, it's not going to update it because the game is going to overwrite it. But what it is to count in hex. The left column is the hex code that you have to type in. The right is what the actual number is. So if I want to start with 14, I need to say that 13 is done, so that's 0D. So instead of 13, which means 19 actually, right? So that's why it's saying that mission 19 was completed. We start with mission 20. But if I want to start with 14, I type in 0D, 0D, and save it. Now you can see it. Now I start with mission 14. So that's all there is to it. So whatever campaign, like I can just do one more quick example here. We don't overwrite the nulls that are in between. There's going to be 5 nulls between each campaign 3-letter abbreviation, as you can see. That's really all there is to it for R6720's campaigns.dat file. Let's say I want to start with mission 6. So I'm going to say mission 5 is complete. and the campaign has progress. This is for Empire Destroyed. So there you go. And Empire Destroyed starts with mission 6. So that's how R6720 works. The latest remake version is a little bit more complicated, but yet still very simple. Okay, the campaigns.dat file. By default, it's going to look like this. And I'm just going to show you right now the campaigns that I have in here. There's several of them, and I actually have a copy of the Barbarian King because that campaign by Strangelove is very unique compared to most campaigns, at least. Maybe it's not completely unique, as it's the only campaign like this, but as you progress through the campaign from the campaigns menu, you can't like put the maps into the single player folder and play this campaign from there and it actually work. For this campaign to work, you actually have to play the missions from here, and if you want to skip missions, then you skip missions in the way that I showed in the previous video. But what I'm trying to say is this campaign will keep track of the progress and the achievements that you had from previous missions so that it accumulates or carries on into the next mission. So because of that new feature in R15122, this one is going to have all kinds of data recorded. So I made a copy of this campaign. It was very tedious to do, to rename all the files to a different 3-letter abbreviation and stuff like that to actually make a copy of it. But I had to do it in order to make sure that the app was correct and that what I'm about to explain to you is also correct. So right now, with this being blank, nothing in there, that tells me that I have no progress at all in the campaigns, and you can see that here. All the campaigns start with mission 1, but I'm going to X out of the game, and this is the folder for that remake version. I have made a copy of someone else's campaign.dat file to test this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the default and make a copy of this. Okay. Even though I made a modification to the file, this does not update the file automatically. So I'm going to put this on the side just like last time so we can see what the default looks like. I'm just going to X out of this and say File, New Window, because the previous directory that you opened up from the same instance, it's going to look in the same folder in Windows Explorer. So now I'm going to open up the same file that it's been updated. Now it's... As you can see, it's a whole bunch of stuff, and that's mainly because of the Barbarian King campaign, that it has a lot of different things it keeps track of. But basically how it works is, as you can see in the default, I have several campaigns in this game, but none of them show up in this campaigns.dat file unless they have progress. If they have progress, it's going to show up, and the way it works is it's a 3-letter abbreviation, and in front of it is the 01 character in hex. So it looks like a dot in here, but it's 01. I mean, 02 looks like a dot, 03 looks like a dot, and so forth. So we have to go by the code, the actual code itself. It's 01, and then the campaign name. And so everything until you get to the next 01 character and 3-letter campaign abbreviation name, all of this right here, I can just delete this, and that is going to reset the Shattered Kingdom. But for right now, before I make that change, one thing to note also is that I have pulled up this menu, but I didn't actually finish it. Because I did that, for example, the campaign, the Peasants Rebellion, is not in here, and TTT is the 3-letter campaign abbreviation I have for my second copy of the Barbarian King, by the way. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is there's no the Peasants Rebellion in here. I just say start campaign, but I don't even start the mission. I just do that, and I X out of the game, and I'm going to reload this in. And when I do, all of a sudden the Peasants Rebellion is going to appear with that 01 prefix, as we can call it, and then the campaign 3-letter abbreviation with nulls afterwards. That's how the latest remake version campaign.dat behaves. Never even started the mission, but now all of a sudden it appears in here. So that's why the Shattered King was in here, because I did do that in the past, and I just showed you that it works that way when I just started the Peasants Rebellion. I don't have any other campaigns in this campaign.dat file that I saved a copy of earlier where any of them have any progress besides that. So let me start with the Shattered Kingdom and just make some forward progress with it. I'm just pressing the V key like I showed in the previous video. Okay, so now it's going to start with mission 4. Let me go, because I have a mission 4 here. Let me just make it like mission 5. Alright. I want to erase the Barbarian King 2. That's TTT, 3-letter abbreviation that I made up. The Barbarian King is TBK, of course. But before I do, I'm going to X out of the game. And let me reload this in. Now what I want to do is remove the progress for the Barbarian King 2 or the copy. I just select from the 01 prefix of this until we get to the next campaign 3-letter abbreviation. And as I look though, there is none. Is there? As I go, it's just a whole bunch of gibberish and nothing else. It turns out that all I have to do is just go to the end of the file and then just delete. And that's all there is to it. I can save it, but before I do, let me just show you that this works, because this type of campaign, the Barbarian King, that it records data as progress continues, looks different than the rest of them. Let me make some progress with the Barbarian King, which is TBK that I have in here. Let's some actual progress. So the Barbarian King. Debug cheats, and we go. Press V. I'm gonna go several missions because I think it takes like 5 or 6 missions before the campaign.dat file becomes a little bit larger. Okay, that should be good. Okay, so now we can see that TBK, the Barbarian King, the default one, goes a long way, and then once it ends, then all of a sudden the Barbarian King 2 or another campaign like it with a lot of data will begin. Now, it's possible that these campaigns are grouped together in this file. I'm not positive about that, and maybe all the quote-unquote normal campaigns that don't record data as the campaign goes on are all grouped at the beginning of the file. That could be the case, but if not, you have to kind of know what the 3-letter abbreviations are for each campaign, and in order to do that, all you have to do is go to the campaigns and just click on any of these, and you can see the 3-letter abbreviation there. So what I said earlier, when I made a copy of it, I had to manually rename TBK until TTT for every folder, subfolder, and file in here, and also in the script files themselves everywhere. It was a little bit tedious to do that. I used some software to assist, but again, that's just for demonstration for this type of campaign that the latest remake version allows. But anyway, now we can see that the Barbarian King, I start with mission 7, and the Barbarian King 2, I start with mission 4. Having said that, I'm going to now clear the Barbarian King 2. Or what about, let me clear the Barbarian King instead to show you that this is going to work. To make it more clear first, and then I'll clear the Barbarian King 2. And I'm saying that because the Barbarian King is listed first. So from the 01 prefix all the way until we get to TTT, which is Barbarian King 2. At least the way I renamed it. So right here, up until that one, I'm going to delete, and I'm going to save it. I X out of the game. I shouldn't have had it open. I hope that, let me reload this and see if I have to do it again. No, with the latest remake version with R15122, it's not like R6720. That shows it right there. It did when I reloaded it. TBK is still gone. So it behaves a little differently than R6720 in that way. Alright, but anyway, in campaigns, the Barbarian King, we start with mission 1. And the Barbarian King 2, we start with mission 4. Like what it was before. I'm next out of the game now. And refresh. You see, it came back because I went into it briefly, then I got out, the Barbarian King. But now there's no progress with it. But the way it turns out now is that from here, because this is the last 3-letter abbreviation, you just select all the way to the end of the file and delete. If it's the last campaign listed, you just select to the end of the file. If it's not the last campaign in the file, you just select from the 01 prefix until you get to the 01 prefix before, but not that prefix, right? And you just delete. So at this point, if I were to save it now, all campaigns should look like there's no progress. We start with mission 1 with all of them, even though the Peasants' Rebellion has been visited once. The first mission was not completed, but it has been visited at least once. It doesn't matter. We all start with mission 1. That's all there really is to this. So these apps will make those changes to the file as needed for you automatically, but this is how you can do it, and if you want to write your own program or app to do this, that's how it works. If in later remake versions the campaign.dat folder changes somewhat, then of course it won't apply anymore, but at least for R15122, this is how it applies, and R6720 is going to stay the same forever, obviously, but that's it. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.